Hey everybody, it is February 1st. I am so excited because you know what that means. It is the beginning of the Black Knitter Black History Make-Along. So I'll talk more about that in a minute. But welcome if you have been here before. Thank you so much for coming back and hanging in there with me during my long absences from the YouTube internets. If this is your first time, welcome in. I'm glad you're here. My name is Liz. I'm on social media as the Black Knitter. And in this space, we talk about beloved community, a space where everyone can feel like they belong, where we center love and lead with love. This is my little dog, Corbin. He wants to be in my lap and get all the pets, so I'm gonna keep him here for a minute anyway. As you can tell, he loves the scritches. But yeah, that's Corbin. Corby. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what I've been up to since the last time. It hasn't been that long since my last episode. I'm kind of proud of myself. I'm going to try and keep this up. I just got back from Disney World. I took my mother down to visit my daughter who works at Disney World. I'll try to insert a couple of pictures. That's funny. The new features of camera functions in the Mac world, if you do stuff like this and this. It's kind of cool. So if little icons pop up, that's why. Okay, so yeah, we went to Disney World. My mother had not been there since our kids were little, and our youngest is 26 now. So the last time she went, my son was 2. So it had been quite a long time. And we had a ball. It was so much fun. My mother has some mobility issues. I've talked to you guys about her osteoarthritis in her back and her surgery. And so her mobility is limited. But we got a wheelchair for her, and we focused on seeing shows and parades as opposed to riding rides, which was just perfect for me. We got to see a Disney on Broadway show at Epcot, which was really, really awesome. Had some really good food, and just really enjoyed being together. So it was a lot of fun. So I got back on Tuesday. I actually went to work yesterday, Wednesday, for a meeting that I really needed to be at. And I worked a little bit this morning, but I'm technically on vacation today and tomorrow. But there were some things I had to get done. I have to do a couple of presentations next week to several audiences. So just wanted to make sure that I got some of that data analysis done for those presentations. What else can I tell you? There hasn't really been a whole lot of other stuff going on. Did find out that my mother actually has to have another surgery at the end of March. So please continue to hold her in prayer, send her positive vibes, whatever your jam is. All of those things help. I'm a firm believer in the power of prayer. But some of the hardware that they put in October is already shifting. Plus she has some additional fractures that need to be repaired. So she has to do that surgery again. So just pray that she will continue to be in good health, and that the surgery goes well, and that there are no complications afterward, all those things. Yeah, so that is it, I think, as far as, big news. I have reached 1,000 subscribers. So thank you guys for spreading the word, for sharing the podcast with your friends. We have finally reached 1,000 subscribers. I'm pretty excited about that. So I will be doing a giveaway with this episode. So to get into the drawing for the giveaway, just comment below and include in your comment something about Black history. So you could just mention Black history. Your comment could just be Black history. But because it's Black History Month, let's do that. So comment Black history or include Black history in your comment, and I will do that drawing. We've got lots of stuff in the prize bin for that. Thanks to some generous viewers and followers on Instagram. I've got a cart full of goodies. I've also put some stuff in there, but we've got some cool stuff from some just donors who wish to remain anonymous. So you know who you are. Thank you very much. All right, so that was Habari Gani. What's the news? Let's do a little Elimu or education. I am really excited to share with you that for Black History Month, my friend Cindy, who is the owner of Harps and Thistles, which is my local yarn shop, and the owner and dyer of 1918 Yarn Company, she has done something awesome for Black History Month. And I wasn't aware of this, but she introduced me to this person that she is highlighting during Black History Month, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information that I found once she told me about this person. But first, let me tell you this, that the Harlem Renaissance Kit is still available this month. It's going to be available all the month of February, so if you want to order that, you can still do that. Any of the 1918 yarns can be found on the Harps and Thistles website, which is linked below. But Cindy has created this new colorway for Black History Month. The colorway is named for Esther Jones. Esther Jones was in the 20s and part of the 30s. She was the highest paid child entertainer in her day. And she is the person who the Betty Boop character was modeled after. What's really interesting about her story is that she never got credit or royalties for the Betty Boop character. The creator of the character says that Betty Boop wasn't based on any one person, but instead is based on a number of like jazz and cultural references that were popular during that time. This claim, though, is a little problematic because, in fact, there was a white actor by the name of Helen Kane who sued the studio who created Betty Boop for taking the character without her permission. So she claimed, this Helen Kane person claimed that the character of Betty Boop was actually based on her act. He's getting restless now. Here you go, buddy. And that's really interesting because what I think really happened, based on the research that I've done and some things that have been written about, the origin of Betty Boop. And you can actually find some of this in the court testimony from that suit that Helen Kane brought. There were people who testified during the court trial for this lawsuit that Helen Kane had actually come to see Esther Jones perform a number of times. And Helen Kane also recorded several songs that Esther Jones performed using Esther Jones's signature bebop style. A lot of jazz artists during that time used that style, but Esther Jones was really known for the boop boop de doo style of scat, its actual style of jazz singing. And Helen Kane actually mimicked that and recorded, like I said, several of the same songs that Esther Jones was known for. So there's, I think, some pretty strong evidence that Helen Kane appropriated Esther Jones's style and profited from that, and then tried to sue this studio for creating this character and not including her in any of the profits. She did not win that suit because the studio was able to show that the character wasn't based on Helen Kane, but they claimed it was based on, again, kind of a mashup of a lot of different performers that were popular during the time. But if you look at pictures of Esther Jones, if you read about her story, it's pretty clear that she was the most well-known performer during the time who was doing that kind of style. She was a child, and Betty Boop has that really kind of childlike voice and demeanor. Helen Kane kind of sexualized it, and that's why you see Betty Boop portrayed the way that she is. So anyway, Esther Jones was the origin of all of that. Cindy has created this colorway called Esther Jones to recognize and honor Esther Jones's contribution. She was born in 1918, which is one of the reasons that Cindy wanted to do this for Esther Jones. All of the 1918 colorways have something to do with the year 1918 or something that happened around that time. So that's another reason why we named the Kwanzaa colorway Harlem Renaissance, because the Harlem Renaissance was happening around that time. But sale of both of these colorways, Harlem Renaissance and Esther Jones, A portion of the proceeds will benefit an organization that is a local organization that is working to support the Black community in our area. So you can do good with your purchase as well as have some great yarn. So the other thing to know is that I'm going to be giving away a skein of Esther Jones. Cindy is really great about donating things to the podcast, so I really appreciate her support. But I'm going to give away a skein of Esther Jones as part of the Black History Month Make-Along prizes. The past 2 years, I've been doing this knit along. I'm doing it again this year. And Dr. Charlie Untangled, Akia is her name, but she's Dr. Charlie Untangled on Instagram, is also hosting a Black History Month knit along. And you can do both. We both agreed to let people double dip because the point is to get people trying Black makers. So there's no competition here. We supporting each other, getting it done. So I'm just really excited that somebody else is taking this on. But you can do both make-alongs. Some things that are the same for the make-along this year. All you have to do to participate is cast on. Whips are allowed, and you don't have to finish to qualify for prizes. You just have to use the hashtag, which is BK Black History MAL, and use 2024, because that way I can distinguish between past entries and current entries. So BK Black History MAL 2024. I'll include it down here. And that's over on Instagram. And what else can I tell you? To be eligible for prizes, you have to use a pattern by a Black designer, yarn from a Black dyer, notions or project bags from a Black maker. And this year, something that is new is if you purchase something from a Black-owned yarn shop. So even if it isn't something that's produced by a Black maker, if you purchased it from a store that is owned by a Black person, then that will qualify as well. And so what I'd like for you to do on Instagram is tag the maker, the designer, the store, so that other people can find these great resources for Black-owned businesses. Every Black maker or shop owner that you support gets you an entry. So if you do a pattern by a Black designer with yarn from a Black dyer, put it in a project bag by a Black maker, and you have stitch markers from a Black maker, and you bought it all at a Black-owned yarn shop, that's 5 entries for prizes. Okay? So, the more you do, the more chances you have to win a prize. Another thing that is new this year, and thanks to my friend Valerie, who has a podcast, Nana and Papa, check that out. She has graciously agreed to host some Zoom meetings for us during the month of February. So starting on Monday, and every Monday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, we will have a Zoom. So it'll just be a time for us to be together, maybe learn something, meet some Black makers. I'm hoping that some of them will decide to hop on the meeting and introduce themselves to all of you. And really just to be in community. So I'm really looking forward to that. If you want to participate, the link to register is in the description box below. We're doing registration because too often haters will try to crash these kinds of meetings virtually. And we want to prevent those kinds of shenanigans from happening. So you have to register in order to participate, but participating is free. So when you register, you will receive the link to the meeting. All right. So I hope to see you there. It's going to be a really great time. And I also want to thank Michael from Peace for Peace Crafting for also agreeing to help facilitate those meetings. So we hope to see you there. What else can I tell you? At the Zoom meetings, we're going to do prize drawings as well. So based on whoever's there, we're going to draw a prize from the participants in those meetings. So you got to be there to be eligible for those weekly drawings. And the first drawing will be for that skein of Esther Jones. So if you want to get that, you want to show up at the first meeting on Monday. And I don't even know what day Monday is. I know today is the 1st. But let me look. The 5th. So February 5th is the first Zoom meeting. Okay, so that is that. The other Elimu item that I wanted to talk about has to do with some things I mentioned last time. So those of you who have been hanging out with me for a while know that I'm a progressive follower of Jesus. I'm pretty liberal in my religion and religious and political views. I practice beloved community because Jesus taught us that loving God and your neighbor are the greatest and equally important commandments. Love is at the center of everything that I do. I am also a PhD trained sociologist. So what that means, those two things together, is that I don't check my brain at the door when I step into church or a Bible study. The books of the Bible were written for a particular people at a particular time in history. So the Bible really needs to be read and understood from that perspective. You have to take everything that's in that book in the context in which it is written. So when I teach Bible studies, I focus a lot on the historical context in which the scriptures were recorded, and I welcome questions. I also share my own struggles with understanding what the answers to those questions might be. But this is how we grow in our faith, by being open to questions, recognizing those moments that come that are, that make us doubt what we believe, right? And we have to wrestle with that. I think that's why it's really important to be in community with other believers, so that you can study those things together. And it really is all about studying those things. But I got a question after some things I said in one of my episodes about why I believe that there is biblical support for same-sex relationships. I believe in the full inclusion of LGBTQIA plus people in the life and ministry of the church. I think that when I say full inclusion, I mean membership, participating in sacraments, being able to be ordained, all of those things. And I believe that the Bible supports that stand. So I would recommend that if you are a person who is struggling with how to understand my perspective on same-sex relationships, or if you have excuse me, if you have people in your life who think that LGBTQIA plus people should be excluded from the church, then I highly encourage you to read this book. This is it. It's called God and the Gay Christian. It's by Matthew Vines. And actually up here at the top, it says the biblical case in support of same-sex relationships. The person that wrote this book, Matthew Vines, grew up in a conservative Christian church tradition. His family was very conservative. But Matthew had and still has a deep faith in God, and really struggled with this message that he was a sinner because he was gay. But it's a really good book that lays out the case for why same-sex relationships are not sinful or wrong. So if you want some education in that area, if you want to give somebody education in that area, that is a really good resource. Another resource that I mentioned previously is the Bible for Normal People podcast. I really like that podcast because you get lots of information about historical context. The folks who are doing that podcast are biblical scholars, and they've actually done an episode where they actually talked to Matthew Vines. That's how I found out about the book, actually. So that's a really good resource too if you want to get just an introduction to Matthew's thinking. That episode of the Bible for Normal People podcast is a good resource, but the book is really, really great. And I will include a link to the book in the description below. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to just mention before we move out of our Elimu part of the podcast is just a reminder that Black History Month is now. I know I said that. But one of the reasons why I love to celebrate Black History Month is I am an alum of Kent State University. That's where I work currently. And Kent State University is the site of the very first Black History Month celebration. It started at Kent State University. A group of Black students and some faculty in what is now the Africana Studies Department got together and planned a month-long Black History celebration. I will link below to a story that was done on that history. I'll link that below. But yeah, it started at Kent State University. Isn't that awesome? I think it is. All right, so let's get into some Kuumba creativity. What have I been working on? Not a whole lot. One thing that I didn't say in my Habarigani roundup was that I had some trouble with my rotator cuff. It was really bothering me, and so that took me out of commission for about a week. But it's better now, so that's good. It's not bothering me at all. So rest is very important. All right, so I did get some things done though. I finished my quick ombre hat that I was working on for my sister, and I haven't given it to her yet because I decided to put a pom-pom on it and I need to attach it. So here's the pom-pom. Isn't that a good combination? Oh, that's gonna look great. I love that combination of colors. My sister will love it as well. These pom-poms are nice because they're detachable. It's like a snap, which is kind of cool. And they have these at Harps and Thistles in lots of different colors if you want to take a look and order one or two or three. I have a number of these. I just, whenever I'm making hats, I pick some out, but it's perfect. So that is a finished object. And I think that's the only thing I've finished since the last episode. I am working on a number of things. One is the sweater that I'm making for my friend. And I haven't gotten much further on this. I'll show you the side that I'm working on. My computer keeps shutting down. It's weird. But I'm still working on the arms, so on the front. So I've got quite a ways to go here. But I think my friend will really like it when it's done. So it's going to be nice and oversized, which is what the picture looks like, which I showed you the last time. And this isn't, this is a pattern that I made up with the help of Fatima at Disturbing the Fleece. You can schedule a one-on-one with her, a virtual one-on-one. And I showed her the picture and said, I want to make this from the picture. And she really helped walk me through how to make that happen. So it was really a fantastic session. So if you've got a project like that in mind, she is a really good resource. And the one-on-one time doesn't cost that much. It's really like a private class. So I highly recommend. Can't say enough good things about it. This is the yarn that I'm using. It's Plymouth yarn, Encore Chunky. The color is 54. There's no name for the color. But it is 75% acrylic and 25% wool, which means that it can be washed in the washing machine, which is what my friend wanted. She wanted a washable sweater, so in this color, which is great. So that is one work in progress. Another work in progress, I've got some socks. I don't know if I showed these last time. I think I did, but I don't remember. I do my socks primarily 2 at a time, toe up, and I just basically knit. Well, for these, I'm just going to knit until I run out of yarn. And then I will do an afterthought heel. I believe that this is yarn from Valkyrie Fibers. I don't know what I did with the tag, so I'm pretty sure that's where this colorway is from. I do not have the name, but I love her base. I'm pretty sure it's a 75-25 mix, and it's BFL, which I love. You don't find very many dyers who are using sock yarn that is BFL. So, love how this is knitting up. I'm going to show you, this is what it looks like in the ball. So I've got some more colors there coming. So these are kind of my just go-to. I did a lot of knitting on the plane when we went to Florida, so I have those with me. And then the other thing that I am currently working on is I started a test knit for Fatima, just starting the fleece, for a pattern that is actually released today. It's called In the Lab Coat, and so it is a long cardigan, multicolored, and she knew when I started this that I probably was not going to be able to finish on time, and I am not finished, and then my shoulder just messed me up as well. So I'm not done, but I'm getting there. So like I said, it's a cardigan, and it's knit with chunky yarn, so it knits very quickly. So I am, and it's top down, and this is the back. Look at that. And it's got pockets, so I've got my space for the pocket there. I'll show you the front. So it's got cables down the front as well. Really cool cable pattern down the front, as well as down the center of the back. So that's where it is. And it's supposed to be really long, like come down to your thighs. I don't know that I'm not going to make it that long, but it's going to be pretty long. And the pattern has 3 different colors. You can use 3 different colors. That's the way it's written. Some of the testers did 1 color. I'm using 3 different colors of some yarn that I had in stash. It is Scarfy. I don't know. Do I have a ball band? And they do still sell this yarn, but I've had it in my stash so long. I don't know. Scarfy. Lion brand Scarfy. It's 312 yards in 150 grams. And it's considered bulky, so bulkier, chunky yarn. And the 3 colorways that I'm using are Apple Orchard, Cranberry Black, and Charcoal Magenta. So, I love it. It's knitting up so fast, and the cable repeat is really easy to memorize. So hop over to her website or Ravelry to pick that up if you can. I think it's $10 on her website, so not too bad as far as price. But if you want a quick sweater knit, that's it. It won't look like it was quick because the cables are beautiful, but it'll knit up really quickly. So definitely check that out. Yeah, and that is all that I'm working on. I'm using my wine glass needle stoppers there. Those are available at Harps and Thistles too. I've got a lot of different needle stoppers from there. I love those because they stay on. I've had needle stoppers that don't, and it's been a disaster. So those are really, really nice. So that's it as far as knitting content. I have, I'll tell you this. I decided to do the knitting instructor certification, level 1 certification course that's available through the Craft Yarn Council. So I've started, the other thing that I've been working on is swatches for that. There's one, it's kind of hard because it's in plastic. I don't want to take it out, but so the other thing that I've been doing is swatching for that. You have to like make a bunch of swatches and label them and put them together and send them. I just thought it would be nice to do the certification so I can say I'm a certified knitting instructor. I don't need it, but one thing that I will say that as a Black person, I often am in the position or put in the position where I have to justify my existence in a particular space. I don't have to do that at Harps and Thistles. Let me say that very clearly. When Cindy was looking for a Learn to Knit instructor, I applied and she was like, absolutely. I don't have to interview you or anything. We knew each other because I had been coming to the shop to take classes and stuff. And she was like, oh yeah, you would be great. I would be happy to have you as an instructor in the shop. But there have been lots of spaces where I have had to produce a credential for people to listen to me, which is why I let people know that I have a PhD. So that's really why I'm doing it. And that's like a sad reality that people, when you're in a minoritized position in society, those kinds of things happen. So that's really why I decided to go ahead and get certified. In case, when I retire, I decide I want to, expand my teaching game. I'll have some credentials behind me to do that. All right, so that really is it. Hopefully I will see you again soon in a couple weeks or so. Again, I'm not going to promise to do it on a particular timetable because my job. But I will see you sooner rather than later. Hey there. I thought I was done, but I'm not. I forgot to tell you guys about my Black History Make-Along project. I posted it on Instagram, but I got yarn. So I want to show you guys what I am going to cast on. I'm going to insert a picture here. But I don't know why that's doing balloons, y'all. I have no idea why that's happening. But this pattern is fabulous. I mentioned last week that I have caught the color work bug. You know, I made my first color work sweater. I signed up for a class for a sweater that starts on Saturday that includes some color work. But that's all about steeking, not necessarily the color work. But this pattern is by Shay Johnson, and it's called the Groovy Genzer. Behold. Isn't it lovely? So I want to show you the yarn that I got. I went to Joann's for something last week. I can't remember why I was there. I was picking up patches or something. And they were having this yarn sale. And I usually, I don't get yarn there very often, but I've heard people talk about this particular brand of yarn, and it is 100% wool. So I thought I would try it. So this is my main color. It's Fisherman's Wool. And that is pretty true to color. It's showing up a little darker maybe than it actually is. But this color is called Nature's Brown, which I love. So that's the main color. And then for the color work, I got a bunch of colors. And I don't know if I'm going to use all of these or just some of them, but I think they go really well together. So a couple of these are Lion Brand. This is their local grown 100% USA wool. So here's one. And this color is Apple Pie. That does not make any sense. Why would this be apple pie? That has to be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think this should not be called apple pie. And then this color is maple. This makes sense. The color of leaves turning on a maple tree. So I love that. And then the rest of these are Patons classic wool in the worsted weight. So this one is called Pine. So it goes really well with the maple, another tree. This is Meadow. And then this one is a blue that is called Navy. So I think that these go together quite nicely for the color work. I'm not very good at this. My hands aren't very big. What do you think about that color combo with the brown? So I don't know if I'll need all 5. I think I do. I also have some like natural that I can use if necessary. But I think these will go quite well together. And I will be casting this on later today. So for my next episode, I will have something a little extra to show you because I will have started that. I'm really excited about it. So can't wait to see what you're making. Make sure you share those makes on Instagram so I can see. Now I really am saying goodbye. Goodbye. I pray that you will have what you need, what you desire, and that you will be in beloved community wherever you are. Until we see each other again. Sante Sana. Love y'all.